All right, fans, here we go with the main event of the evening.
Good evening and welcome to the Febar. I'm your host, Jack Jordan Maynard, and joining me once again is Mr. Jack Pickering. We have a lot to discuss as Mclaren announced that they will be leaving the series at the end of the season. Where does that leave Taylor? Where does that leave Sam? All to discuss tonight. A new 4-part documentary series called The Driver came out in the UK and the USA, so we'll be talking about that a little bit later on. And make sure you join us on Discord, and remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Mr. Pickering, yeah, I was just letting the music fade out.
Yeah. No,
I was just letting the music fade out.
Yeah.
And as you can tell, right, let's just get the rabbit out of the hat already. My voice is dead.
You look awful.
I don't look that awful. Calm down.
You genuinely look like that you've come out of bed.
I haven't. I've been up.
Like,
Very true. I've been up.
you do not look well at all. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I wanted to do this show earlier. We could have done this show on Friday. I could have just put.
No,
but,
we couldn't. I was busy Friday night.
Well, we couldn't. But I would have when the McLaren news dropped. Basically, I was like, perfect time for an FE bar. I couldn't speak. Yeah. I couldn't speak, and
so we couldn't have done it Friday.
We couldn't have done it because I was in a terrible state, and I thought I'll message you and say, hey, what about Sunday? Because I know you play football on Monday, and I thought, you know what, we'll leave that.
Thank you for letting me play tomorrow night.
So I thought we'd leave that, and hopefully my voice will be in a better place. So I've had many drugs, not bad drugs, good drugs, to try and make myself better. And to be honest, this is the best I've felt. It's just
He's recovered from all the drugs he had in
Miami.
Yeah,
I've recovered from all those drugs
and other stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been a terrible week in terms of my health. You look fine, Jack. You just sound like a grandpa. Great. I'll take sounding like a grandpa at this moment. So I will try and mute myself if I need to cough, and we will be taking breaks so I can either get water or fill up with more tea.
Good.
So,
yeah,
we got a packed show, and I'm gonna pass over to Pico so I can take a break. But let's start with the first things first. Obviously, the waiting room is open, ladies and gentlemen. We can't do this show without you, so please whack yourself in the. I can't even see the waiting room. Whack yourself in the waiting room if you haven't, and come and have a talk about. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about two of the subjects, right? The FE Driver show. Now, no, not everyone's seen the FE Driver show, but to be honest with you, there isn't like spoilers in there. We all kind of know what happened in season 10. So if you know what happened in season 10, you know what the show's going to be about. But we're not going to go into too much details. We're going to just have our opinions and say one or two things about it. So we won't spoil the show. Our aim is not to spoil it. But if you've watched it and want to give your opinion on what you thought it was, then do that. Do come on and let us know if you have seen it. Well, obviously, we're going to talk about Mclaren now, and then we'll talk about Monaco, but Monaco's towards the end. It is pitched at a 2-hour show. We do have Nick at 8, rather than at 9. He's coming on at 8.
Nick at 9 Central European Summer Time. So
we do have,
it will be Nick at 9 if you're watching in the continent.
You will be Nick at 9. If Tobias from E4Mail News on E4Mail.de is in the waiting room as well, so we're definitely going to speak to him because I want to speak to him about the chat as well, and McLaren. So please stay put. We'll get you on. We'll just do all the talking stuff first. But apart from that, hope you've all. And by the way, if you're new round here, we are 13 subscribers away from 1,000. Big goal of ours. If you are new, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to us to just get a little bit closer to that goal of 1,000. It would mean the actual world. McLaren. I'm going to pass over to you now because I've done my things. Is it a shock? Because when the WEC news appeared, did you think, question marks, or did you think McLaren just extending their racing portfolio?
Well, it sort of makes sense. And I said this. I'm not going to say it as like abruptly as I said in the chat, um, on Friday, but yeah, it sort of makes sense that McLaren have taken this decision to depart Formula E. I think the thing that took me a bit of a surprise is that I was expecting it to be end of Gen 3 Evo and not
Yes.
end of this year. And so it does mean that we are sort of in that we're going to have a team sort of like in limbo for a year. So um, I do expect that team to be on the grid. I mean, like, everything is sort of there, sort of ready to go. If it's going to be Ed Hunter's dream team of a Neon Racing Formula E or whatever it, just
Well,
call it
apparently,
that.
I think that aren't they
But,
leaving at the end of this season? Or is it at
well,
the end of next season?
no,
I do.
no. So McLaren are leaving end of this year.
I thought the neon.
But
So the neon partnership goes on till next season.
then the Neon partnership is separate, I think. So
Okay.
I don't think it matters, and I think
But
Saudi
apparently
Arabia
that
not-
wasn't being extended, which was also maybe part of the reason.
yeah. But yeah, no, it made perfect sense. That because they're going into WEC, in 2027, and so yeah, it was understandable. It's just now there is this sort of limbo that that we're now not sure about what happens with one of the teams for this year. I'm just gonna point out this is gonna be like a little this is gonna be a shorter ramble before we get you guys in, because obviously Jack is on his deathbed.
Oh no, look, we can talk. It's just
Yeah.
I'm just resting. I've got to conserve now, innit? I'm in my conserve mode. But in terms of the drivers, right? So let's start with Sam Bird first. Is this the end of the line? Is this now the end?
The thing is, it all depends on what the team's going to be next year, if it exists in some sort of guise. For me, I didn't really see Sam continuing into Gen 4 anyways, and I do think that into Gen 4 we are likely to say bye to the likes of Seb Buemi, Lucas Degrassi, Sam Bird, all like the original, all the OGs could go. The only one that I think might stick around for a little bit longer is Da Costa. And I don't count Jev as an OG because he wasn't there in he wasn't signed up
in Beijing
for Beijing. And the reason why I count Da Costa, even though he wasn't there in Beijing season 1, is he was the contracted driver. It's just that he had a clash with DTM that weekend. So
typical, innit? Typical.
So yeah, but that's the thing. Like back in those days, Formula E was not the priority, and admittedly for McLaren, it's not really a priority. The thing is with McLaren is they are a huge racing entity, and they have grown their racing portfolio over the last few years. And one of them has been Formula E, and I think they've been a huge asset to the series. And it is a huge shame that we're losing them. But the thing is, F1 is the pinnacle of motor racing. McLaren have always been there. They're never good. The day McLaren isn't in F1, I think hell will freeze over. I can't ever see that happening. IndyCar is historic, and they've put so much effort into IndyCar, and the fact that they are like fight and they have fought for wins over the years with Pato O'Ward, and Felix Rosenquist was there for a couple of years. Alex Rossi was fighting for podiums as well. And Lundgaard was even I think Lundgaard was close to the win, wasn't he, in Thermal a few weeks ago, or something like that. I can't really remember. But the thing is, with IndyCar is historic, and so they're going to stick there. And then so we've covered F1, which has Monaco Grand Prix. Covered Indy, that has the Indy 500. There is another race in this Triple Crown, and you can see where I'm going.
Yeah.
And it's WEC, and that's where McLaren had their eyes on, because McLaren can do their own Triple Crown basically, and so they're going to and so they will have sights on maybe Zach Brown's like vision is that one year that they will win the Monaco, the Monaco Grand Prix, the Indy 500, and the Le Mans 24 Hours within, and not just in the same year, because it's within a few weeks is realistically what it is. I know Monaco's getting a new date in Formula One for next year, so it's going to be, I think it's the first or second week of June, but it means that it will be sort of like 3 weeks within each other that we'll have Indy, Monaco, and Le Mans.
Which will probably have a little bit of a pushback for the date, because obviously it's very early this week. But if Formula One's going into June, then Monaco might be a later date in the Formula E calendar, which we'll find out soon. Because next month it will be confirmed, and then June is when we'll find out in the Motorsport Council meeting. They have spent money though on Formula E, like their new. You'd expect.
Yeah, but
you know,
minimal.
like they set up a new factory in Bicester. I know they can sell that, but like they did put effort in.
The thing is, Formula E is not a hugely expensive motorsport to partake in. Yes, there are cheaper forms of motorsport than Formula E, but as a series, like it's a spec series, and that's something that we need to think about, because obviously the powertrains are different. But even then, McLaren have outsourced the powertrain from Nissan for the last 3 years. And so McLaren haven't spent too much money on
and they used to do. What did they do? Did they do the battery after Williams Advanced Engineering?
They did
in Gen 2 for a bit, and then Williams Advanced Engineering came back, or WAE as it is now.
Came back.
So they have spent some time on Formula E. It's a shame to lose them.
Yeah, no, it's a huge loss. And
so let's talk Taylor, because so he's signed in for this McLaren. Technically not McLaren driver. There's a little if and ahs about that, whether he is actually a contracted McLaren driver. Although his performances would probably lead to him officially becoming one. Although, from rumours, what I heard about his contract, it was just a race seat drive. It didn't mean that he was a McLaren driver. But that's all hearsay rumours at this precise moment. If this team doesn't have much funding for next season and could easily be dropped to be a back market team next season, or a team that's doesn't make much progress, I can't see Taylor sitting at the back of the field next season with the talent that he has. Could this blow the driver market wide open?
Yes and no, because we've got a team that's sort of in limbo, and so and the thing is, it's not the first time that we're looking at the driver market and going, okay, this is going to be a little bit interesting. It's happened over the years, and it happened and it's happened mid sort of generation. It happened the last time we had a mid generation when we went from season 9 to season 10. We had the huge Bird going to McLaren to replace Rast, and Casti going to Jaguar, and then no, it wasn't Seb. Seb came in and started Gen 3, right?
To Envision, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Seb went to Envision, started Gen 3. I think it was then Robin came back. But yeah, the thing is, it's unlikely that we're going to go same from this year to next year with the same drivers. And especially when we've got the likes of Drogovic and Pourchaire who are knocking on the doors and going up and actually really wanting to get a seat in Formula E. And it will be a case of so many drivers, not enough seats. I mean, Set of Cameras will want to try and find his way back onto the grid. There are only so many seats in Formula E, and then there is a lot more interest, considerably more compared to what we had like 5-10 years ago. The people are looking at FE as a solid destination, because at the end of the day, for a lot of the F2 drivers, are drivers that are paying to race, and Formula E is a paid seat, and so they will get. And actually, there's a lovely thing, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later, where Jake Dennis said in the recent docuseries that came out that he basically got to do all his karting for free, and now he has to pay back all the sponsors and everything, so they all get like a little bit of a cut, and I think that's actually really nice.
Which was quite similar. I watched a video about Lewis Hamilton when he got his first F1 paycheck. He paid it all. He gave it all to his dad because his dad basically funded his. So, but that kind of makes sense. Tomato or Automate as had a very similar idea to what I said, that Taylor jumping ship to somewhere like Nissan could happen because
I think that's possible.
And I was, part of me, the big Norman NATO fan that I am, that I've just become a Norman NATO fan. It's like, oh my god, he's gonna lose his seat again, poor guy. But
Yep.
I can actually generally see that happening. I can see him going away from there. Someone talked about rumors. I think it was. I'm just gonna go back. Who said about rumors? Someone said about rumors. Can't see it.
Fleetwood Mac did.
Fleetwood Mac. Okay.
In the late 70s.
Oh yeah, great. I thought you meant someone was actually called Fleetwood Mac in the chat.
No, come on.
Nissan never. But we'll talk to Tobias about that in a second. We're gonna get someone. We'll get either Natalie or Nikki in a minute. But yeah, I can see that. And in terms of, there's talks about Hyundai or Opel or someone coming in, but whether that will be an actual manufacturer is another idea, because obviously Mahindra haven't signed up, and I don't think Mahindra are going to sign up as an OEM for Gen 4. I think they will become a customer team going into Gen 4, because I think if they would have signed up by now. Others have signed up. So if they haven't signed up by the end of the season, I don't think they're going to be signing up pretty much that way. But be interesting to get Fred's thoughts. I'm hoping to speak to Frederick Bertrand in Monaco and kind of find out a bit more on that. But Tobias says Nissan's never. So we'll talk to Tobias about that. So we'll cut this part, and we're going to talk about the new documentary series now, and then we'll take calls. Brilliant from Formula E. Like, this is exactly what we needed, right? And on the whole, after watching all 4 episodes, I think they've done a solid job, right? I think it was a solid start to a documentary, and I think they've done a really good job. My issue is marketing and promotion. Is there enough? We didn't know about it. It just appeared.
Yeah, that is my issue as well. The fact that this sort of appeared, and we were all expected to be like, oh yeah, we all knew about that. Yeah. The thing is, I'm trying to think back to when Drive to Survive started with F1. We all knew the Netflix cameras were going mad, and the thing is, like, annoyingly, like, I've been out inside the paddock and everything for like the last couple of years, and it's annoying. I genuinely watched that series and go, loads of people there, and I want to be there, and I can't, and so disappointing. But the fact that this just came up out of nowhere with like zero, like, no marketing, no advertising, nothing, and just got, there you go, there's a series. And actually, when I was trying to search for it on Prime Video earlier, I tried putting it, so I typed in the start of Formula, so I typed in FORM, and the first thing that came up was a McLaren docu-series from 2017 with Fernando Alonso and Stoffel Van Dorn. And there was nothing Formula E in sight. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll type in the word driver, which found nothing. So I just went back and typed it all in. And I think I had to... I
had to write Formula E for it to come up.
I had to type in the E for it to come up. And if you're looking for a series, and it's not coming up after, like, the first few things, and there's only a handful of options there, then there's... It's just shoddy advertising. What's the point of putting so much effort into this and then hiding it away?
Yeah,
because that's what they've done. They haven't done, like, honestly, yeah, I've watched 3 of the 4 episodes, and I thought, yeah, no, honestly, this is really good, and I'm really enjoying it, and it fills that void where we lost Unplugged a few years ago.
Yep.
why
I
the
think it's
hell
10
were
times
we not
better.
told about it?
I think it's 10 times better than
Why was
Unplugged.
it not plastered on every single Formula E thing that you can see ever? Why was it just revealed just like out of nowhere?
So I did a little bit of research, right, on this, and I spoke to a few people, and people sort of got wind that something was coming, right, but didn't know exactly to what element until maybe the ones that got like a sneaky preview, like our good friend Nick Golding, who wrote a little review piece on it, right, only got excuse me, like wind of it like a week or two ago, right? That okay, something's happening, and to write about it. Theodore, I've seen your comment. Do come back, because you can build upon what we've said, or you can agree or disagree with us. So do come back to the waiting room. I know we have to talk as well. We have to give our opinions, and then we can listen to your opinion. So do come back to the waiting room, because we'd love to hear your opinion. So I thought I'd get that in. But overall, I thought it was really good. The only thing which I wanted to talk about, I think I like the Costa, and I think I've fallen in love with the Costa more over the series. They went with the angle of Florian Modlinger, the team principal, and obviously they went with the story of him losing his seat. And it was brilliant that they had the Costa, because, you get to go through all that. But they make Florian Modlinger the bad guy. And I'm like,
the thing
maybe
is,
if the show needs a bad guy, like you need a bad guy. But
they need a story arc, and that's what all these things that there needs to be a story arc behind it. But it's just occasionally that
I don't want people hating on Florian now.
The actual story arc isn't enough, and that's the that's the long and short of it.
I don't want Florian to be seen now as this bad guy in Formula E.
I don't think you will. The thing is, one thing that I found from watching the series is that a lot of it, I went, Christ, that was only a year ago.
Yeah.
That feels like 5 years ago now. I don't. Misano feels like an age. Misano feels like that was in COVID times. That's how long ago that feels. That was last year.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It was wild. Right, let's take some calls. And then we'll take a break. So we'll get Nikki in.
Right, okay.
And then
right,
we'll do Tobias after Nikki.
You're on the Febar, and as a huge McLaren fan, big weekend for you.
I sort of had a gut feeling that they were going to leave. Pretty much after Zach had said they were going into WEC, to be fair.
Yeah, talk to us about it.
Yeah. How do you feel as a McLaren FE fan?
Very shocked, and very disappointed that it was put out the way it was put out, basically. That nobody came and actually said it. It was done in a written way where maybe Ian James could have, or Zach Brown could have come on and explained why they actually want to go out of Formula E. So it sort of hurt me a little bit in that regard. But I was expecting it to a degree.
Yeah, I must.
So what do you see with that team now? Where do you think?
I think my personal opinion is, this is just a gut feeling and my opinion. I know Sam's got a lot of association with WEC and has in the past with Ferrari. So my feeling is that he will leave Formula E and then maybe go on to do the WEC with McLaren.
Yeah, I can see that.
But my only concern is Taylor is such a talented human being, right?
Yeah.
Is he going to end up like a lot of Formula 2 people, like a lot of people that have been in Formula E and become a wasted talent? That's my concern. Or will he stay in Formula E in some form?
I think he'll stay in Formula E in some form. He's too high of a talent. Like, someone's got to pick him up, right? Someone has to sign him. Whether or not he's in this, he might have a limbo year until Gen 4.
Could he go over to Indy and nick a seat with McLaren there?
But do we want to lose Taylor Barnard in Formula E? Really?
The thing is, we have had the discussion on the show before where it was literally about 2 months ago where we were saying Taylor could go from FE to F1, and so
Yes, but
don't think-
unfortunately,
yeah,
there's no seats in Formula One, is there? And obviously,
no.
as we know, that Lando and Oscar have got long-term contracts there.
Well, yeah, but it
But it
wasn't
doesn't mean
ever
he
gonna
can he could go out on
it
loan.
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't going to happen in like the next few years as well. I mean, like Lando's
No.
contract till what 2028 or something.
I think Lando's
Means that
is
Taylor
till
could go in for
2028, and Oscar's is
2029,
till
but
2029.
yeah,
So-
it means that
Mate,
Taylor could
2029.
replace
You
Lando for
you
20
you sound like that's
and
a million
also-
miles away. It's not.
Yeah, no, it's not.
No, but 4 years with a talent like that to wait is.
He'll only be 24.
Yeah, but
You know
the
what I
thing is
mean?
also, contracts are made to be broken. Like Lando could disappear from McLaren in the next couple of years, especially if
Depending
stuff
on-
isn't going this way in the title battle. He might decide after a couple of years that he might go for a different challenge.
Yeah. But no, that's my biggest fear, unfortunately, guys. Is Taylor going to become one of those wasted talents? But also, I've got
I
another.
don't think so.
Can I throw another theory out for you?
You
Yeah,
can.
go for it.
I also think he might get the Nissan seat eventually,
Yeah,
alongside Oliver Rowland.
yeah. This is it's something that we've sort of mentioned because yeah, it's the two best performing Nissan drivers this year so far have been
those pair.
Ollie Rowland and Taylor Barnard. And yes, Nato had a very good weekend in Miami, albeit for the penalty at the end of the race for not using his attack mode. He did he did start on pole and cross the line in first place, and so yeah, but yeah, those two have been the two like constant performing drivers this year.
Yeah.
So I can see it happening. Stranger things have happened in Formula E, and stranger things will happen in Formula E.
At the end of the day, I'll say it like this. I was a bit miffed about it, but like somebody pointed out to me, I think it was actually you, Jack, where you say that this happens in racing all the time. It's not like, well, it doesn't matter what series it is. It could be Formula 1, Formula E, whatever it is. You know?
Yeah.
And the only reason I don't think Taylor will go to WEC is I don't think he has the right licenses, and I think it's the same with IndyCar. I don't think he has the right license.
Potentially, yeah. I'll be honest. I don't really know that. But,
Yeah, I'm
But
not
I
100%
think
sure on
you
his
have to
license.
have a platinum license, don't you? And you have to drive a specific amount of races before you can drive for those series.
yeah, no, 100%.
But I truly believe this is probably Sam's last year.
Yeah. So you think he'll depart end of this year with McLaren?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'll go and work with McLaren in rec, 100%.
So because where the McLaren are coming back in 2027, do you think he'd
Yeah.
just have 2026 off, or do you think he'd find
I
something?
know Sam does a lot of commentary, doesn't he, for 5 Live? So maybe he does a year of commentary and then goes into that for 27.
Do you think that he could take a sort of sabbatical and then still be at his prime to come back in WEC in a year and a half's time?
In my opinion, I always thought Sam performed better in sports cars, and because I've followed Sam for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think the answer is to that. Yeah, they'll probably be testing the new prototypes and stuff in 2026, and I do believe, because like Jenson Button's done it, and other older racing drivers have done it into like DTM or rec, haven't they? So I think yes. I think that would be a better move for Sam than staying in Formula E.
Yeah, because he'd develop that new car, wouldn't he? So he'd be
Yeah.
behind all that development. So he wouldn't be
So
racing, which might annoy him, but he might pick up some races here and there. You know, especially with Zach Brown, if the connection's there and the friendship's there with United Autosport, he might get a Daytona 24-hour race. You know, a couple of special event races here and there.
A few of the British GT races as well, because McLaren are in British GT as well, aren't they? So
Yeah, no, I saw a lot of their trucks yesterday at Silverstone.
I know, I saw it. Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
Yeah, no. One thing I also wanted to throw at you, because you are a McLaren fan as well,
Yeah.
is the huge news that that Jaguar boss James Barkley is leaving the team end of the year, and is likely going to be going over to the McLaren WEC project. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I like James as a person. I think he would be a good motivator. I've also heard that Ian James is going to the same project, so there'll be obviously Ian James and James Barkley, who are very high-profile people in Formula E. So why not? I think they'd work well together. To be fair.
Interesting.
Fair enough.
Interesting. Because I heard Ian James was very much looking to salvage this operation again for Formula E and staying in Formula E.
Actually, that was just a rumor that I heard. I'm not saying that's concrete. That's just what
Oh
I've
no,
heard.
no, I know. It's just interesting because
It might be.
it went against my rumor that I've heard. But anyway, but
Yeah, it might be that James slots into that role that Ian might be departing.
yeah, I
to.
was gonna say not what I've heard, but interesting.
Zach's obviously seen that James is a double team champion, isn't he, so to speak? Obviously with Jaguar and Envision, so maybe that's why he saw him as a better fit in the McLaren role as a team principal, maybe, or whatever role he takes. But it'll be very interesting to see how that will work eventually.
Maybe.
And maybe Sam goes over there as well. Sam's also worked with James in Jaguar, so maybe, who knows?
I wonder what the
They
relationship
already
is
know
like
each
there,
other.
though. You know,
Pardon?
from what we've learned from the Costa Florian thing, what's the relationship like there? Who knows?
Exactly. But I'm saying they've worked with each other before, haven't they, with Jaguar,
Yes.
whether it was a good or bad relationship.
Anyway, right, Nikki, we're going to let you go because we're going to speak
Yeah,
to Tobias now from eForma DE, and we'll get his news. I'm sure he knows a lot what's going on. Okay, so I'll grab Tobias in, and hopefully he'll realise that I know he's in the chat, so he'll undeafen when he realises that. Oh yeah, we've picked him up.
Yeah, there we go.
Tobias,
Hey, Toby. Welcome back to the FE Bar.
welcome to the FE Bar. Yes.
Good evening, Jack and Jack.
Yes, good to talk to you again. I'm glad that you're
How
on.
are you?
Oh, Tobias,
Yeah,
we
I'm
can
there.
hear you. We can hear you. Perfect.
How
So,
are you?
I'm good, just doing preparations to go to Monaco on Wednesday. No, on Thursday morning. And,
Thursday morning.
yeah,
I'm flying.
looking forward to go there.
I'm flying Friday night, so I will be there Saturday morning.
Well, yeah, you'll see him. I'm not. I'm not heading
No,
out. unfortunately.
Jasmine Hughes will be there for us on the Friday. We've got quite a busy Friday actually. On lots of interviews lined up. I'm sure you're the same. But let's talk McLaren. And
Yeah.
the announcement. Did it shock you? And what do you know about it? What have you learned about it since it's happened?
I found it quite shocking that they will leave at the end of this season. To be honest, there were rumors about McLaren leaving because of the WEC program they announced some weeks ago, for sure. But the WEC program will be starting racing in 2027. So I don't know why they will not do the whole Gen 3. But I'm not sure if that's really such a big problem for the team, to be honest. There have been HWA, they have been Mercedes EQ, and yeah, now they have been McLaren. So I think Ian James, who is, as far as I know, not just team principal, but he owns a part of the team. I think he will be looking for new investors for fresh money to put in, and then he will keep the cars running next season, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, talk to us about. There was a little bit of confusion. How I understood it, but maybe I'm wrong. So the Neon partnership, obviously the Saudi Arabia title partnership, is coming to an end. Was that coming to an end this season or coming to an end next season?
As far as I know, next season there was a 2-year contract with an option of 2 additional years, which has been taken. So it should be the end of next season.
So the end of next season. So whoever does take over that team will have that money then, I suppose, to help them.
Yeah, for sure. The first season will be quite cheap, I think, before there have to be some investments for Gen 4,
Of course.
which should be much bigger.
Indeed. What do you think that does then for the driver market? Because obviously we were talking about Taylor Barnard and the potential of him going to Nissan, and you in the chat went no. So why no?
The first reason because I know that Nissan is looking at another driver that's really experienced in Formula E and 2 times runner-up into the championship. I'm talking about Mitch Evans.
Yep, I've heard this rumor before. I remember this. Yep.
So I'm pretty sure that the exit of James Barkley at Jaguar will trigger some things, and I suppose this might be the exit of Mitch Evans at Jaguar too. He has contract until the end of the next season. Nick Cassidy has contract until the end of this season, but I think Nick Cassidy will stay. What will happen to Mitch? I'm not sure at the end of Gen 3 or Gen 3 Evo when Gen 4 will come in. So I think that's the driver that Nissan wants to put in their car.
So Nissan will put Mitch in their car for the start of next season or for the start of Gen 4?
For the start of Gen 4, I think. He has Mitch has a contract for next season with Jaguar.
Okay.
But as I said, Ian James wants to keep the team alive and wants to keep the team in Formula E. And as far as I know, Taylor Barnard has not a contract with McLaren.
Yeah, that's what
he has saying, a contract with let's call it the Ian James team, which is at the moment McLaren Electric. So I think he will stay at the team, whether it will be named in the next season.
So so despite the guys, whatever guys it is, Taylor, you expect to stay as part of that team. Any rumors on?
For sure.
You expect? I think that they would stay. They would have to stick with the Nissan powertrain. They couldn't switch between now.
I think they stay with the Nissan powertrain next.
Yeah, for next season they have a contract. Yes.
Yeah. It's a 2-year cycle.
So that's quite good for them then. So there's a lot of talk about Hyundai and Opel at this precise moment maybe joining that team, or are the investors that might be looking into that? How much of that do you know? How much of that do you think is true?
First thing, Opel is a Stellantis brand, and Stellantis has a problem, and the name of the problem is Maserati. Maserati is absolutely not looking good from financial terms. Stellantis stopped an investment in Maserati for over 1 billion euro. So that leads Maserati to reduce the number of cars they are putting on the market. And what's the name of the actual car? MC20?
Yes.
Is it MC20?
I think you're right.
They stopped the electric version because of it. Because there is not that big market for electric sports cars in China. So I think Maserati is in big trouble from regarding financial terms. And I don't think that the name Maserati will be in Gen 4 in Formula E. So Stellantis has to remove this brand and put another brand into it. And I think that could be Opel.
So Opel will take the cake.
We saw just before we had that 2-month break that Maserati were going to have some investors, and then they didn't because of multiple reasons. Is that do you think that's one of the key factors into why you think Maserati might be out the sport by the end of next season?
We have to. That's a little bit complicated. We're talking about Maserati as a Stellantis brand on one side, and MSG Racing as the team on the other side. The whole investor thing, the whole investment thing that didn't work out was about MSG Racing. It had nothing to do with Maserati, the Italian sports car brand. So I don't think that has not much in common. But Stellantis is the one that pays at the moment the Formula E for MSG Racing. And I think this will stop because Maserati doesn't have that money in future. Because Stellantis cuts the costs, let's say it that way. So for sure, it's a problem for the team, MSG Racing. I don't know if they will survive this. They need fresh money.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side, I don't think Maserati is the right partner to put money in. Maybe it could be Opel with another big investments. As far as I remember, Opel as a German brand, they had really many problems until they were sold to Stellantis. Problems from financial sides too. I don't know if they are wealthy enough from their financials to pay this. I hope so, but I'm not sure.
For Formula E's sake.
So do you think that there will be two Stellantis brands, or at least two Stellantis teams on the grid when we hit the Gen 4?
Yeah, I think so. If DS Automobiles will stay, I'm not sure. They have already been rumors that they want to switch to another brand. But to be honest, that's just marketing. The team in the background, the engineers and so on, they will stay. Yeah. It will be the same people in the background. They're just putting another badge on it.
Yeah, it would be a shame to lose DS as a name, because it's a name that's been in Formula E for a very long time now, since season 2 or season 3 with Virgin Racing.
Season 2 came in.
Season 2 from Virgin, so it's been a long time that DS has been part of the brand. So let's just wrap it up very quickly with just going back to the McLaren team that Ian James runs. So Hyundai was a name that's been touted. Is there anything more that you can tell us on that?
Hyundai is also going to WEC. And as far as I know, they don't want to do the programs at the same time. They will focus on WEC until they are in the series, and then probably they will focus on FE. So I don't see them getting in FE next year, at the end of next year, when Gen 4 comes. I think they will enter Formula E the soonest at the end of 2028, when the second cycle of Gen 4 is starting.
So do you think Ian James will struggle to find finances then for this team for next season?
I think there are much easier jobs in the world, let's say it that way. But to be honest, he's quite good connected. So I think he should be able to find some people who spend money for it. So that I'm quite optimistic that the team, what name it will ever take, will stay in Formula E.
Okay, awesome. Tobias, I think we'll cap it there. That was awesome. We need to get you on the show more.
Thank you very much, guys.
I know sometimes you're in the waiting room and I'm like, oh, we need to get Tobias on. Right, and then you disappear, like, oh, damn it.
Yes, sorry.
And it's like, we need to, but yeah, honestly, we'll get you on. We'll give you your own segment, because I tell you what, we've known Tobias for many years.
It's high time, because as Nikki pointed out in the chat, Toby is the OG of FE journalists.
What was your first season?
I wasn't there at the start.
Was it like season?
Jack, you were there at the start.
I was there at the start. Toby wasn't there at the start, but like it was
no. Unfortunately,
when was your first season?
I was interested in Formula E already before it started. Yeah. But my first season in the paddock was 2017.
Was that season 4?
Be season beginning of season 4. Yes.
Yeah, I thought you were season 4. I didn't want to say it just in case I was wrong. But I was quite confident you were season 4.
I rocked up for one race in season 4, then disappeared again for 4 years.
Yeah. So honestly, and the work that you do at eFormula DE and eFormula News, like second to none, because it was I correct me if I was wrong, but it was your story that I saw first about James Barkley going to McLaren. So and
that's
I thought,
right, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought what an exclusive, like fair play to find out that news. So I thought that was incredible. So keep up the good work.
Thank you very, very much, guys.
And thank you
really
very much.
Appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much. Have a good time, and see
I
you, Jack,
I will
in
see you in
Monaco.
Monaco. Fingers crossed my voice is better. Pray for it.
Yeah, I do.
Right. We'll see you later.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
What a legend. What an absolute legend.
Right.
So what we're going to do, we do have Nick at 8, right? So Nick is going to come on. So
Oh, are we gonna get someone on? Or
I think we're going to get someone on for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to take a break.
I wasn't sure if your voice needed it.
We're
But
gonna.
I'm thinking
You've done a
let's get
smashing.
Nat on.
You've done a smashing job.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to take a little bit more control because I know that
you have done a smashing job. So
you're not a 100%. So
we'll take Natalie, and then we'll take a break.
I think she said earlier in the week that she's working really early tomorrow morning.
So
or
let's
something like that.
let's get her in so she can go to bed.
Yeah. Hi, Nat.
Welcome to the
Hey,
Febar.
congratulations, Pico.
Thank you. Hopefully you can join us next week. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
But if you go
I
down,
want
you
to
go down.
Yeah,
I think,
I think
Thanks,
you got a solid
Jack.
chance. Yeah, I think you got
I
a solid chance.
Yeah.
Huller away to Pompey and
Football
Preston
chat.
away to Bristol City. So yeah.
a win would be nice, but all we need is a draw.
Yeah. Who are you playing?
We got Stoke at home.
Oh, that could be 3 points for you.
I really hope
I'm
it
not
is.
tempting fate. I'm not tempting fate. The thing is, Stoke the last couple of weeks, they obviously got battered by Leeds.
Yeah.
And
5-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 5 or 6-0, and then Sheffield beat them 2-0. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
But
Let's get back to Formula E.
Right.
Yeah,
be
let's do that.
To be fair, I did say yesterday that this was just going to be 2 hours of me raving.
Yeah.
United,
Well,
so-
you've done. You've. It's felt like 2 hours over the last 2 minutes.
Brilliant. Cheers, mate. Much appreciated. Yeah. Nat, because I know that I know that you're a McLaren fan as well. I know that you're a Vision Racing fan, but you're
I'm a
McLaren
fan of
as
everyone.
well.
Don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you are a McLaren fan as well. So yeah, it's been a huge weekend for you.
Yeah, Friday morning I was on the bus going to my job I can't name for security reasons. But if you know, you know. I saw the statement on the bus and no joke, I almost cried.
Yeah, well, obviously we'd seen that it was coming, but because there have been rumours. But were you expecting it so soon, and were you expecting it to be end of this year?
I was expecting, like Mum, I was expecting the end of Gen 3 Evo, but when that WEC announcement came, like Mum, I did partly see it coming.
Yeah.
It's just Mercedes all over again. They're in the sport for 2 seasons and then they disappear.
What do you think that says about Formula E, though? Like, you're right, we've lost Mercedes, we've lost BMW, we've lost Audi, we've now lost McLaren. Is that a bit concerning?
I had a conversation with Mum about this yesterday, weirdly enough. It's not concerning to me, but as a whole, what does this say about Formula E as a series? If people are in the sport for 2 seasons and then disappear, it's not a good impression, is it?
It's not the greatest. Jeff Dodds, there was a piece in The Racer that our good friend Dominic wrote, who said that, he's still in bullish mood despite McLaren leaving, and hopefully he's got something in the pipeline, but there has been no new, manufacturers announced yet for Gen 4. It doesn't feel like any new ones are coming anytime soon. So, I said Formula E is in its weakest place that it's been for a long time. I don't know if this adds to that.
Yeah, but you've got your staple teams like Jaguar and Vision who have been there a while now. Jaguar and Vision, you've got Mahindra, you've got Nissan. So those 4 teams have been in Formula E either from the beginning or quite a few seasons now. But if teams just come and go, it's not gonna leave a good impression on Formula E, I feel. Which hurts me to admit because I love the sport. I've loved the sport since season 4, but
yeah. It's a great name. When you're saying like who's in Formula E, right? And you go Jaguar, McLaren. Straight away there feels like there's some
Andretti.
And well,
No.
Porsche. You know, I'm thinking of
Yeah.
the big car manufacturer names. You've got like some pedigree, right? Already, like people stand up and go, impressive, right?
Mm.
But if those names fall away like they have, right, then
Yeah.
it becomes less like Envision. Like as much as people, no one knows who Envision are, right? If you told it to a random, I know you do, but a random casual person, right, who
Yeah.
you're introducing the sport to, they don't know.
Oh,
Envision
we're
means nothing
talking
to them.
about Envision, sorry. Can I just pass my congratulations on to Leon Price, the team manager, who
Yep.
completed the London Marathon in 4.5 hours today?
Well
Well
done.
done to Leon. I
Well
didn't know he
done,
was doing
Leon.
it. Well
Yeah,
done,
I
Leon.
did know he was doing it. So many people I know somehow did the London Marathon this year.
I can't walk 26 meters, let alone 26 miles.
Well, that says
Like,
more about you, I
I
think.
said to Mum, if I
oh
could
yeah,
walk
no,
the
my
London
stamina's
Marathon,
awful.
yeah, sorry, I said to Mum, if I could walk the London Marathon, I would have done 4 by now.
Yeah.
No, indeed, indeed. Right,
Can I do a cheeky plug before I go?
quickly.
Yeah, go for
Mum
it.
and I are doing the Race for Life again this year. I'll put the link in the Discord. If you can spare any change, please donate. It's going towards a great cause. I'm doing the Race for Life for my granddad, who we unfortunately lost due to leukemia. So, yeah, if you can give anything, no matter how big or how small, I'll put the link in the Discord before I go to work. Yeah,
No,
if you can spare anything, please donate.
amazing cause, amazing cause. Well done, and good luck.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you, Natalie.
Right,
See you
cheers, Nat.
later.
We'll see you. See you later. Right.
Okay,
Right.
so we're gonna take a break, but don't go anywhere.
Jack's voice needs it because we got Nick at 9,
At
Central
8,
European
at
time.
Central European time, and I got another game.
Oh, God,
It's a good.
really?
It's not complicated. This one. It's a nice one, right? It's not
I'm
complicated.
gonna lose I'm gonna start losing points now.
And you can play in chat. Okay, so we're gonna take a break. We will hopefully be joined with Nick Golding on the other side. See you in a bit.
It's Nick and Nine. It's Nick and Nine. It's Nick and Nine. Yo, it's Nick and Nine. What ain't it? It's Nick and Nine. Hey.
Welcome back, everybody, and we are joined by the man himself. It is Mr. Nick Golding. How are you, mate?
Hello, I am very, very good. I've had a pretty good weekend. It's been a rare weekend where I've not had to work because there's obviously no Formula E, no Formula One. So actually, work kindly gave me the weekend off. Yet, and this is a good question actually for you two, and actually for anybody watching today. When there's no F1 or FE, do you find yourself watching more or less sports? Because
I watched the football.
This weekend, I was at Stamford Bridge yesterday to watch the most boring 1-0.
It was a good win, though. Good win.
Very important win. Very boring. I then watched what was possibly one of the greatest boxing fights in modern history.
I had no interest in that.
It was unbelievable. I had goosebumps, but anyways. And then today, you had the MotoGP, you had BTCC. I then went on the weirdest walk of my life. It's been a good weekend.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you're allowed to stay in. Now that you're married, I thought the wife was like, "No, we're going here, we're going here, we're going here." Like, make the most of it.
To be fair, me and the wife, Nadia, went for a walk. The weirdest walk ever, because in the space of an hour and a half, I almost got hit by a car. We then had a car driving the other way, swerve into the wrong lane. All of a sudden, they wound down the rear windows, and there was kids spraying water guns at us. Who knows if it was water or not? I don't know. And then next thing you know, we then witnessed a car crash.
Oh, Jesus.
It was. Well, I say a car crash. A car just ploughed straight into a curb after pulling out of a junction way too fast and then collapsing the suspension, which was quite funny.
Sounds like a Peugeot driver.
No, it was a Volkswagen driver, funnily enough, and a brand new one as well. It was a brand new VW Touareg, so unlucky, mate. But no, it's been a good weekend, and fly out to Monaco very early Wednesday morning.
We've got Irish sport. Someone watched hurling. Thea watched hurling.
I don't understand hurling.
DTM.
You just hurl the ball, don't you?
And MotoGP and DTM. I've watched the football. That's all I've watched. I haven't watched any motorsport this weekend.
I watched MotoGP and then I watched the FA Cup.
Yeah.
I wasn't even at the Oxford game yesterday.
I was about to call you.
Prior to Silverstone.
I was going to message Fake Fan when I saw your Instagram post, as the final whistle was there, gone, and you're at Silverstone. I was like, there's no way he's got from A to B that quickly. Therefore, Fake Fan.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I was on the phone to my mate going like, how many minutes are added? Just keep me on the line.
How have you missed?
I was pacing.
2-0
I was pacing quite a lot.
Against Sunderland, and you missed it.
I know, it was mega.
You missed it.
Ben Nelson, mega guy, and Mikael Helik, ever since we signed him in January, he has been...
He played for Barnsley once upon a time, I swear.
Yeah, we got him from Huddersfield. And
that's just my football manager knowledge coming into play there.
But Mikael Helik has done bits this year. And, to be able to travel to and I'm heading to the final game on at Swansea next weekend, anyways. But to head over there without the pressure of,
it's done.
Are we going to go down? It's done. We can relax, and we've got another year in the championship. However, next year will be just as hard, if not harder, to try and stay up again.
It'll be good recruitment.
Unfortunately, Chelsea only signed 15-year-olds who are ineligible to play in the Premier League. Okay. So, anyways,
Brentford are all right. We didn't play this weekend, so it is what it is. But anyway, should we talk Formula E? That's what we're here to talk about.
Yes, enough football.
I think we should talk more about Oxford United staying up.
Well, we'll talk a little bit on McLaren, and we'll talk on the driver, the Formula E driver show. So yes. We've already spoken to Tobias from eFormel News and eFormel.de, the Germans, about McLaren, because we were wondering what this meant for Sam Bird. Is this likely the end of the road? And Taylor, could this open up the market? Could he end up leaving that team to go to a stronger team? Because obviously he's such a talent, and we don't know this. This team is kind of up in the air at the moment. I don't know how much up in the air it is in terms of making sure it's on the grid for next season, but what can you tell us?
It'll be on the grid next season. It's been so effectively, Formula E were informed of this decision a few months ago now. So Jeff's known about it for a little while. I spoke to him actually an hour after the announcement was made by McLaren, and he said that obviously it was not the phone call he was hoping to have when he saw, McLaren calling him, but he understands why they're doing it because the electric industry isn't really working for McLaren. It's not really fitting in with what they're trying to do as a company at the moment. So their departure makes sense. To be completely honest, I don't think it's a good look personally that we're losing one of the biggest brands in not just motorsport but in manufacture across the world, globally recognized. It kind of, for me, it falls into that BMW, Audi, Mercedes, losing them and kind of the impact of that. The team itself, it'll be on the grid next season. There's no Ian James is incredible what he does, and he's already had lots of conversations with potential investors, manufacturers as well for Gen 4. So this team is already looking to Gen 4. It's not only looking at next season. So have no fear, that team will be on the grid next year. I'm not concerned at all about that. Under what name? Who knows? Under what company? I imagine we'll find out a bit more about that. Maybe not in Monaco, because given there's obviously legal stuff going on, you'd imagine that they're not going to be able to say a particularly large amount. I would imagine it'll be more towards probably maybe the Shanghai, Jakarta time of the year when we start to discover who some of these people that have been spoken to are. In terms of so anyway, so the team will be on the grid next year. I have no concerns about that at all. There is also, interestingly, and this is what for me is the most fascinating point about the statement released by Zach Brown, obviously McLaren Racing CEO, and the statement released by Formula E, because Zach Brown, McLaren has made it clear that its intention is to leave Formula E at the end of the season. So essentially what's happening is the McLaren brand will leave Formula E, but that team will continue just under new ownership and a rebrand. What's interesting is the Formula E statement has stated that there's a possibility for McLaren to continue next year. Now, I think that's an interesting one. I'm due to be speaking to Jeff about that actually next week in Monaco, because my head, and again, this is just me thinking. There's obviously got to be something contractual to think that Formula E have got that option open to McLaren. The possibility of them continuing for season 12. So there must be something there. Whether McLaren initially, signed on for the whole of Gen 3 or whatnot, I guess we'll find out. But the team itself is fine in terms of drivers. Sam, I would imagine, yes, he probably will go. And of course, there's been so many reports about him doing WEC for McLaren, which, in all honesty, would make complete sense. He's obviously got a lot of experience with Ferrari.
Yep.
In
do you
GT,
think it's the end of Sam in Formula E? Is this now the beginning of the end?
To be honest, even ahead of the season, he was one of the names who was linked with probably being there last year. Because you look at it, and is another team going to be signing Sam Bird? I think Sam's a brilliant driver, but I think it's very unlikely that another team would sign him, given just how much talent, young talent in particular, is on the market at what is a really crucial time. Because you're going to find now, I imagine a lot of teams will be looking at the driver lineups for season 12 with the intention of keeping that lineup into season 13 and, of course, the first year of Gen 4, because there's going to be so much work next season on, obviously, the final year of the Gen 3 Evo, but also then starting to look ahead to Gen 4. Teams are going to want the same drivers for the terms of setup, in terms of feedback on the development process, in regards to what needs improving, what doesn't. The driver who I think will, and again, this is just based on conversations with Ian James, when I asked Ian in Miami, because even in Miami there was a very, very good feeling that McLaren were going to leave. Unfortunately, at that point, it couldn't be broken. But it was pretty clear that as soon as that WEC hypercar announcement was made, to be competing in WEC, F1, IndyCar, and FE is just not sustainable. It's just too difficult. The big question, of course, is what does this mean for Taylor? Of course, a driver who, to no surprise, is gaining a lot of interest in the paddock from a lot of teams. But speaking to Ian James, without going into too much detail for contractual reasons, he wouldn't explain exactly how long Taylor's deal is. But he essentially said that he's not worried at all about Taylor going elsewhere.
Yeah.
Which
Tobias said that Taylor has a contract till next season. So
Taylor has a contract with
not the Ian James team, not McLaren.
McLaren Electric.
Yeah, so the contract itself is under the the actual team itself rather than McLaren Racing. So he'll be effectively that there has to be. There needs to be a clause in his contract for another team to come and snap him up. Basically, it's not going to be as easy as McLaren are leaving, and that means Taylor's now available. It's not as easy as that. From what I've heard, it sounds like it's actually there is the option for next year, and it's something that McLaren can activate rather than Taylor, which obviously gives them that security to keep him for another year.
Yep.
So I imagine Taylor's going to be sticking with that team under what name, who knows, and it would probably not come as a surprise to see them maybe sign another rookie for next season, or perhaps one of the experienced drivers who at least has a couple of years left. I don't see Sam having much left in him in Formula E. I think he's been an incredible servant for the championship. He's been a brilliant ambassador for it and will continue to be so.
Yep.
But it's almost, with the exception of Sao Paulo last season, he's not really been excelling throughout Gen 3 in particular. So you do look and think, is his time up? Yes, and I think it's the same for at least 2, potentially 3 drivers.
Yep. Let's talk about the documentary, which you had early access to.
I did.
We love it. I think they've done an absolutely amazing job. What me and Pico said, maybe you can divulge or have your theories to it. Is
go for it.
And I remember because I texted this to you as well, and Pico had the same thought: was why was there no hype about this? Because obviously with the Drive to Survive series with Formula One, obviously
the trailer comes out and whatnot.
The trailer comes out, there was a bit hype. Oh, this is coming. This is in the works. It literally all got released, dumped on one day, and we can watch it. Why do you think that was the case?
Now I don't know the answer to this. I can only assume.
Speculate.
Again, I know. This is something else on my radar to be asking Jeff and Alberto this next week. I keep thinking Monaco's this week. It's next week. But anyways,
no,
it's confusing.
It's this week. Technically, it's this week. It's next Saturday.
In terms of the lack of advertisement, I wonder if potentially the approval came quite late in the day. Based on the series itself, you can tell which rounds there was significant filming and which rounds they depended on footage from the championship itself. So, given that the talks of Jeff, supposedly meeting, obviously the streaming platforms came in the second half of last year, that would kind of give the impression that, whether something was already being filmed and then it was picked up by Prime. Because Astronaut Films, who produced it, have done a phenomenal job. Because Netflix and Drive to Survive set such a high standard in terms of motorsport documentaries. I don't particularly like Drive to Survive. For me, it's too gimmicky.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Too OTT. However,
it's not for motorsport fans. I would say pure hardcore motorsport fans. I don't think it's aimed at that. It's aimed at the casuals.
Yeah, I would say pure hardcore, no, but the thing is, it does what it needs to do. It brings F1 a massive audience.
What it's done for F1 has been brilliant, but I don't think it's aimed at the people who watch it week in, week out.
No, and I think naturally, obviously, no matter what championship, any motorsport documentary gets compared to Drive to Survive because that is the top of the bar. That is the standard. I mean, I did so in my own review, which obviously you can check out at Racing News 365. For me, it was very similar to episode 7 of the most recent series of DTS, where they looked at and focused purely on the Singapore Grand Prix and Lando Norris, Pierre Gasly, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and Alex Albon, and just focusing on the human side of them 5. What the documentary did so well for FE was focusing on really 4 of the biggest personalities in the championship, but all so different in their own ways. Quite clearly, we've all seen enough, I think, of Antonio Felix da Costa's house. I mean, that was probably the second most popular destination. But I think the way that they got the archive footage and the fact that the storylines were accurate, there was no fake rivalries, I felt, and I thought it was brilliant that it was very, very quickly pointed out that Nick and Mitch was not a rivalry. They had this, very strong friendship. I thought that was brilliant because that's quite an easy pinpoint, you could say, to make a rivalry out of that.
Yeah, an easy storyline, yeah.
It does concern me, the lack of advertising, and again, I wonder if this is because maybe it came late in the day, actually finding a platform for it to go on, because what my mind reckons is that perhaps this filming quite clearly this documentary began before they had a platform to put it on.
Yeah.
which I think you can tell as well by the fact that, please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I've not seen yet, and I've been checking, any advertisement on Amazon Prime itself,
Yeah,
on the
I haven't
video
seen.
platform.
Yep.
It's actually very, very difficult to find. I only found it by searching it, which concerns me when it comes to views, because
Yep.
they've got a really good platform here and a really good format to build upon a second season. You can either follow the same 4 drivers. I think Mitch would be quite interesting at the moment, but you've also got the opportunity to explore 4 different drivers. So
Yep.
that worries me, the lack of advertisement from the platform itself.
My worry there, Nick, is
Go on.
that is the fact that when I was searching for it 6 hours ago when I was going to watch it,
Because he had to for the show.
because Jack told me to. I typed in FORM, and the first thing that came up was a series about Fernando Alonso and Stoffel Van Dorn when they were at McLaren,
Nice.
and like 5 other things that weren't related to motor racing.
It could also be because
There was
it's not.
nothing there. So
Yeah,
I tried typing in driver, nothing came up. I had to type in the full Formula E to get it.
I wonder
Which
if
was
it's to do with the
a
fact
huge
it's not.
problem.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's because it's not currently available globally. May
Yep.
the 2nd, for anybody wondering, it's available globally. It's currently only available to the UK and the US. Why that is, I don't quite know. However, I mean, it's quite common, actually, to be fair, for a lot of series to be available. Even on Netflix, you quite commonly see them available in the UK. It's probably to do, I'd imagine, with whether it's to do with any kind of rights with the championship, or, for example, where their biggest. I don't quite know, but May the 2nd, so the Friday of Monaco is when it's available globally. Whether we then see some advertisement from Amazon then remains to be seen, but I think it is a bit weird that it was. I mean, first of all, Formula E, I really feel for the people behind the documentary, but also the championship itself, because the timing, the fact that that the trailer was released, I think it was a couple of hours after McLaren made their announcement. That day was supposed to be all about the documentary, and then
got taken
McLaren
away.
grab all the headlines. And to the point that so many websites that don't even touch
Formula E
obviously covered it, which was really unfortunate to see. So I hope the documentary does well, because I think it is brilliant. It's a really refreshing style. It shows the human side. It shows so much emotion. I think Dan Tixman in particular came across so well.
I agree.
Firstly, he's got an awesome car.
Yeah.
And I think, again, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's the first time he's, in some, publicly effectively, because it's a documentary at the end of the day, discuss what happened in 2015 and the recovery from that, and the fact that he spoke about that so openly. Even the bit with Billy Monger and them two eating pizza and a beer, I thought was brilliant. I just see like Dan to a T. But also, his family, him letting his family on this, his mum.
Yeah, and same with Mitch Evans as well, I thought was quite cool.
Yeah,
and Antonio.
And I think even for Mitch, obviously the footage of the crashes Dad had, and I think that's the thing it did so well. And again, particularly with Dan, for me, that episode 2 is, and particularly the story around Dan, is one of the best sporting documentary episodes I've ever seen. Just the way that
episode 2 was brilliant.
The importance of that story and the history behind it, because of what that one incident has done to Dan's entire career. He will always be known as the guy who took somebody out under a safety car. No matter what he does, he's always going to be known for that. But he knows that, and he's accepted that, and he lives with it. But the fact he so openly discussed that, when he could have quite easily have said, "I don't want to discuss this topic," says a lot about actually what he is like as a person now. So, and actually, I'm speaking to him in Monaco, and I'm very much looking forward to see how he felt being followed, because I don't know, I can't imagine he enjoyed it. I'm not sure. And also him having that comment with the heckling Londoners, I thought was my moment of the series.
Yeah, I think we've always spoken about that Stephen Bartlett type interview with Dan, right? The high performance CEO guy that does, and you think that I just felt that documentary kind of did that quite well, and I think there's a lot of. I still think there's a lot that can be built upon from the conversations and what he said there in terms of like when you speak to him, and obviously we're going to try and speak to him as well, and whether we can maybe one day get him on this show and so forth, because I do think with Dan, right, he wants to change that perception about him, right? He wants to say, look, that was the past, judge me for what I'm doing now, not what I did 10 years ago, right? It's kind of like someone who has a criminal record, and it's kind of the same. And I put it to this way because I think it's true. When they've changed, they've gone out, they've got a job, and then they try and get another job, and then something that they did as a kid comes up, and they don't get that job because of what happened. They're like, dude, that happened 10, 15 years ago. I'm a different person, and I think that's what Dan's trying to portray. Like, I'm not that person.
I'm embarrassed of what I was like 10 years ago. I'll be honest, I'm embarrassed of what I was 10 minutes ago, to be honest. I am an embarrassing person. But yeah, no, that's the thing. I go back and if you go back and look at my tweets from like 10 years ago,
maybe delete them.
That guy's a twat.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And so that's why my my Twitter's locked now. Just so, like, and also like I don't really spend that much time on Twitter anymore. But yeah, no, my Twitter's just locked because I know that something like that could be detriment of something that I tweeted in 2015 or 2012 or something like that. So I'm still blocked by Simon Lazenby because I didn't like his presenting skills when Sky took over the coverage in 2012. I let him know about it and he blocked me. So yeah, sorry Simon if you're out there. Apologies.
There's something I wanted to mention, Nick, actually, about the show.
Go for it.
And we get it in the F1 Drive to Survive, and where they kind of make Florian Mondlinger the bad guy, right, in the Costa story. And we've all spoken to Florian many a times. I don't think he's a bad guy at all. Do you think, like, I'm not saying now Formula E fans are going to start hating Florian because of what happened with that whole Da Costa situation, but do you think it was right to maybe portray him as this sort of bad guy?
There was one of two ways. I mean, I see where you're coming from, and I think you are correct. That was the one. There's a really interesting point because ultimately Florian is actually a lovely guy, by the way, but he's, he wants to win, and that was made pretty crystal clear in the documentary. He wants to win, and that means nothing wrong with that in my eyes. He is, a born winner. For him, winning is everything, and that's probably why he suits the Porsche brand so well. I think it was also very interesting the way that Antonio so openly discussed some of the difficulties working with Porsche, and obviously, a big German manufacturer, and obviously there are significant cultural differences between obviously him being Portuguese and what life is like for him and what he's used to, and obviously being in Germany and working around Germans, naturally that there's cultural differences, and I think you could quite clearly see that maybe sometimes Antonio struggles with that, and perhaps he doesn't fit into that environment, which will be interesting to see if Nico Müller does next season, when likelihood is he probably ends up there next year if they go through with their plan, which is at the moment very much expected. But I agree. I think it was interesting to see what they did with Florian, but I think at the same time, will it have a bad impact on him? Probably not. I don't think
so either. But
he has that kind of fan base.
I agree.
But I actually think, if anything, one person who was perhaps made out to be a bit of a bad guy was Jake Dennis. In particular, the Berlin episode and the clash between Jake and Antonio. I thought it was quite interesting the way that Antonio, it felt, was quite well protected in the documentary through his bad times. I also thought it was hilarious that my one speaking role in the whole bloody thing was Antonio saying, "I hate talking about my future." Panting Golding from Racing News 365. Sorry, Antonio, you're doing some good performances. Think about your future.
I forgot that you were in it. I was like, oh my god, we have to pay now to get you on this show because you're like a celebrity.
I cannot believe that. But I thought, and the fact as well that, I mean, Antonio's house was probably, like I said, the second most used spot in the documentary. It felt very nice house, by the way. So I feel like Antonio was quite well protected. I don't think Jake was. I don't think Jake was portrayed very well, actually, particularly in the second half. I mean, he didn't even feature in the last episode. He very much featured in episodes, I think it was 1 and 3, and that was it, pretty much. So I don't think it's going to have any backlash. I think in any sporting documentary, there kind of has to be a bad guy for the narrative to work in the storyline, because the big storyline for Antonio was overcoming the most almighty of struggles. The only thing for me and I did point this out in my review. Some of the episodes just felt rushed. I think there was one episode where it was episode 3, I believe it was. I could be it was episode 3, obviously, where it started with Mitch in Monaco, but it then ended like 6 races later with Antonio winning in Shanghai, and it went through all those races, and it was like it didn't. Maybe it's because it was only 4 episodes. For me, I think it could quite easily a maximum of 6.
Yeah.
I don't think you couldn't do a DTS and have 8 to 10. It just wouldn't work because I think fans would just stop watching. But I think 6 episodes, maybe 45 minutes long each, is enough time to tell the story of a 16-round season, regardless of it's based on 4 drivers or 22 drivers. Like, obviously, in F1's case, 20 drivers.
Yeah, I do agree.
It just felt a bit rushed.
I do agree on that. Right, we're running out of time, Nick. But we've got a game.
We've had it for half an hour.
You have a game.
We've got a game.
No.
Oh, we could talk about Monaco if you want to talk about Monaco.
No.
But we were going to talk about Monaco after this, and then get fans' reactions or previews to Monaco. That was the end of the show. But we could talk about Monaco. We could do one quick segment on Monaco before we go. What do you think is going to happen? Because last season, Jaguar obviously dominated it. But my question is, and I'm not there Friday, so this would be the question that I would have asked the drivers. Do you think attack mode's more powerful this season? So do you think the way Jaguar won it can't be repeated because of how powerful attack mode is?
Correct. Yes.
I think to sum up quickly, I think the teams to watch is Nissan and Porsche.
Yep.
I think it's going to be interesting. So last season we had, I think it was 197 overtakes last year. I don't see that getting beaten. I actually think overtaking is going to be pretty difficult, mainly because of the speed of the Gen 3 Evo. And I think that attack mode is so powerful. I think this is the one place where it's going to be quite difficult using that power advantage, because obviously those corners are going to come to you so much quicker. I'm really intrigued the lap time difference what will be between the Gen 3 and Gen 3 Evo. I think it's going to be, it's 3 to 4 seconds potentially, which I think is, if we get 100 overtakes, I'll be amazed. But it's going to be a peloton, but I'm not expecting it to be as aggressive as we've seen in the past. For me, again, it's between Nissan and Porsche. Should it be a double header? Not in a million years. I really feel it's written in the stars that whoever wins on Saturday is going to crash on Sunday, and then they'll want to celebrate. Yeah. For me, Monaco has always been the best day of the event of the season because everything is just on one day. FP1, FP2, quality in the race.
Proper old school.
Whereas proper old school, it's proper intense at the most intense of circuits. It's
the only track on the calendar that does the 1 day format.
It is, and obviously I know we do still have that on the Saturday, but the fact we then go again on the Sunday, for me, just kind of a bit. It'll be good for the fans. Don't get me wrong. I don't think the drivers are particularly happy about it from the ones I've spoken to.
I'm just happy we're not doing anything on Friday evening.
They can't close the streets.
Yeah.
But long story short,
that's what it should be. That's what it should always be.
I think it should always be just a Saturday, just one race, not 2. Keep it on the Saturday. Keep that traditional, so it is then our crown jewel. But so Nissan and Porsche to watch. Jaguar, I think. Jaguar, I think, will be an interesting one. But most importantly, I don't think attack. I think attack it could cause accidents. I think because there is such a big difference in the power and the speed. And I just think Monaco is going to be too difficult. So I'm really intrigued how it's going to work.
Yeah. I have to ask you this before we play the game. Because you alluded to it, and I'd kick myself in asking you. You alluded to Nico Müller moving to Porsche for next season.
Yeah.
And, we obviously just watched this documentary about Da Costa and so forth. And I still think Da Costa is arguably one of the best. I think Nick Cassidy is my best driver in Formula E. But Da Costa, for me, is up there. And he could win the championship for Porsche this season. There's no questions, right? He could win it. And I remember watching that documentary and think, if they get I'd sign Da Costa in a heartbeat. Like, I can't imagine him leaving Porsche. I think it's the most silliest decision. I know Nico Muller's good, but I just think it's the silliest decision if they get rid of Da Costa.
I never imagined Da Costa leaving BMW. He left to go to DS. He left DS to go to
But this is on a different. This is them kicking him out. That was on his own decision.
It falls back. Well, I don't believe he's got a contract for next year, but it also falls back on the fact that what does he want to do? Does he want to go over to WEC now? Is he at that point in his life? I think potentially. I think he would definitely have offers for next season. Do not get me wrong. He will have offers to stay in the championship because he's looking really, really good this year. Will he stay at Porsche? At the moment, I'd say it's 50-50. I think that, Nico Müller, despite how disappointing I think he's been, he's very much still an option. But my big question is, Monaco always seems to have one big announcement every year. Of course, last year it was the release of the Gen 3 Evo. It was also Jaguar announcing its commitment to Gen 4. What are we going to get this year?
It was Gen 3 a couple of
We're
years
gonna
ago.
get. We're gonna get
I remember
Tumbleweed.
seeing that in Gatwick.
What are we going to get?
Tumbleweed.
Will we get the first Gen 4 renders? Who knows? That's what I'd love to see.
Tumbleweed.
not.
I'm going for
It's
nothing. Tumbleweed. Just.
No, I think we'll get something. But anyways,
Right, let's play this game. Right.
go for it. What is it?
No crazy rules. No crazy
good.
rules. It's just if you get it right, you get the answer right. You can play it in chat as well. You're guessing the height of these drivers in feet and inches.
In feet in it? Okay. I'm
Right.
really good at this. Okay.
So not the global one, just the English and American
What do you mean?
one.
Feet in it.
Only
Bigger.
English people and American people use feet and inch.
Yeah, okay, feet and inches, right? That's what we're
The
using.
rest of the world don't use feet and inches.
Well,
they use
that's what we're
centimeters
using
and
for
inches.
this.
That's what I measure myself in. That's all I know. So.
I do have some of this. I do have some centimeters. I had to convert it, but I didn't write it down. But I can write some of it down now.
In my mind. In my mind, I'm not going into the
Okay,
media.
anyway, there's some that I can remember, some that I can't. So the first question is Oliver Rowland. How tall is Oliver Rowland?
Go on, Pico,
We'll
you
go
first.
Pico first, yeah.
Thing is, I was thinking.
It also works best if you don't pick the same one answer, but
Well,
no.
obviously.
I would
Yeah.
go. Ollie Rowland is 176.
What's
We
that?
want
Oh, hang
feet
on,
and
no,
inches,
no,
you donut.
Feet and inches, because I'm not thinking in I'm thinking the normal way and not feet and inches.
Isn't 176
5 foot-
really short?
5'10".
Oh,
Okay.
you pain in the backside. I was going to go for that. In which case, I'll go 5'11". But I do think it's 5'10", but I'll say 5'11".
Okay.
To please you, Jack.
According to the maths, he's 5'9".
Oh,
He's 5'9".
You went the wrong way, Nick.
damn it.
He's
Okay.
5'9". He might be like, if you round it up, he might be 5'10". He might be 5'9.6" or something like
Okay.
that. But it was 5.9 that the height checker from his centimeters, which he is 176 centimeters. Next one. This one surprised me a little bit. So it's still 0-0. Maximilian Gumpfer.
Oh,
Maximilian Gumpfer.
The thing is, Nick stood next to all these drivers. In
yeah,
about
which is
3
why.
weeks. I haven't stood next to these drivers in about 6 months. He's
5'11". 5'11".
Okay, so Nick's gone 5'11".
I go 6 foot. 6 foot.
Okay. We have
I
a
think
correct
he's just
answer.
taller than me.
And it's Nick. Nick has the correct answer.
Yeah,
He's 5'11", 182 centimeters.
I said 182. I said 182, then said 6 foot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, wrong
foot.
measurement, Pico.
5'11". Right, next one. So it's 1-0 Nick.
Get it.
Who won last time? Oh, it was
It was
Pico
Pico, although it was
won
the most
last time.
It was
stupid game
me.
ever.
It was a
because
great game.
It was
was awful.
ridiculous.
Oh, terrible thing you got. Pascal Verline. How tall is Pascal Verline?
5'5".
5'5" for Nick.
No. 5'8". 5'8". He's
5'8".
not 5'5".
So-
5'5" is.
He is 175 centimeters, which means he is
No,
5'8".
No, he's 5'8".
He's
He's
5'8".
not 175
So Pico
centimeters, 'cause
is
that's not
1-1.
playing the game.
Yeah, I know, but
Why are you arguing? You got it right.
Yeah, no, I got it right, but you said the wrong. You said the wrong.
Yeah, because I was doing
Angry
it.
to get something right.
I was doing it.
Because I said 182
I was
centimeters
doing
in the
it.
last word.
I was
Got
doing
told
it.
off.
I was doing it to allow everybody who measures it their way to get the same. So yes, it's 1-1, 5'8". The next driver is Jake Dennis. How tall is Jake Dennis?
Wait,
6
so
foot
did
1.
no one get a point for?
It's
no one get a-
1-1. You got a point. It's 1-1.
You got the point, Pico.
Yeah, no.
No one
for
got the
first
point for
round,
Roland.
I was the closest. Okay.
No, you don't get points for
No, you
closest.
need to get
Games.
points to get bang on. Okay.
Bang
fair
on.
enough.
Right.
Right,
JD,
Jake
6'1".
Dennis.
I'll go 6'2" then, because
Jake Dennis is 6'1", 187
Yes.
centimeters, and Nick
It's
is
in. Because
2-1.
I know he's not. I'm 6'2" and he's not as tall as me, but he's close.
He's taller than me, and that's gotta
Okay.
go.
Last one, unless I
am-
have
Come
to
on.
Google a tiebreaker. Taylor Barnard. How tall is Taylor
Ooh.
Barnard?
5 foot. It's not. Sorry,
5'9".
that's not my answer. He's not. I'm
5'9".
gonna say 5'7".
5'7" for Nick and 5'9" for Pico.
He's gonna be 5'8", isn't he?
According to the height measurements, this one shocked me a slightly bit.
That's not good.
He's 5'10".
What?
He's
Yeah,
5'10".
I knew he was close to me, but I yeah.
He's
I know he's only 18. Has he had a growth spurt?
I don't know.
Since I've lost seen him?
So
When were these measurements made?
well, his measurement came from the Formula 2 website, and he wasn't in Formula 2 very long ago.
Oh, so he's probably
And-
taller now. It's not
And,
fairness.
and Formula 2 have him down as 5'10".
Because what age is it? Men grow? Is it you keep growing?
You
till
can
you're
keep
21?
going 21, but look, I stopped growing when I was 14.
I'm 25 and I'm still
That
growing.
doesn't
I'm still getting
surprise
taller.
me.
Still getting taller, or are you?
That's
You are
surprising.
very-
So, wait, so
How tall are you, Jack? 5.
I'm about. I like to say 5'6", but really I'm like 5'5" and 3/4.
Yeah, no, I'm 5'11" and 3/4, but my Tinder bio says 6 foot.
just quickly. So very importantly, does this mean I win?
This does
Yeah.
mean you win, Nick.
Get in.
So is it
Is that
1-1? It's 1-1 between
That's
you two.
1-1 in our game series. Get in.
1-1. I'm
Have
liking
that
this.
bit, though.
I'm liking this game series.
So you need a new game then for post Monaco?
No. Monaco will be very similar to the first game, where you have to guess what happened during the Monaco E-Prix.
Oh well, I
And,
forfeit.
and
Maybe I'll come up for a game for Jack to do.
no, I'm the host.
No,
I'm the host with the most things.
maybe I can refuse. Maybe I can just refuse.
No,
to
you
take-
can't refuse.
I reckon me and Pico both refused
Otherwise, I'll just
Yeah.
and just watch
I'll-
Jack fill the time.
I'll get more people to play the game. Don't panic.
Yeah.
I'll get chat to play. I'll get them in the chat. Get rid of you.
Well, I enjoyed that. That was the bet. I enjoyed that game. That was the best game.
Good. Well, I'm
Oh,
glad
yeah,
you
no.
joined.
Oh yeah, no, that was far better than the shambles that you decided.
Yeah, that
to
was more
create
fun.
out
I
of
actually, I understood what we were doing, which was the biggest
Which is-
positive.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's a huge step up from Miami.
Well, maybe we can make some adjustments to the Miami game, but I think the Miami game's good.
No, I don't think we need to make any adjustments.
We can maybe not reset the scores.
Fine, living in the bin. So
We're gonna have a Formula E who wants to be a millionaire after
No,
Monaco, aren't we?
you just need to guess what lap X or Y or Z happened.
yeah, and
I
if you
see,
get it
yeah.
right, you lose.
No, we could stop reset. No, but there's 2 races now, so it would be harder.
Oh,
to remember.
That's another reason why it's a crap. Why make it a double header?
Anyway,
Anyway.
Right. Nick at 9 or Nick at 8. Nick at 9 has nearly gone on.
Up the Monaco.
Oh, Nick at 9 has extended his welcome. It's going to be almost. It's going to be actually 9 o'clock before he
Look, I know you lost your game. All right, calm down.
Right. Right. We'll
Right,
let you go,
right.
Nick, and we'll
See you in
continue
Monaco.
taking calls. See you later.
See you later, darling.
Bye.
Right. Let's get Ricardo in. He's been waiting in the
Right,
in the.
yeah. Ricardo's been waiting here for well over an hour, just by himself
Yes.
in the waiting room.
It's the right. But so the
Thanks
waiting room
for
is
waiting
empty. So if you
so
want to come
long.
on, this is your time to come on. Because
I'll be honest.
you
if
will.
you don't wanna
You'll be.
come on, that's
You'll
fine. We
you'll
can
be on
end it
next.
on time. We
You-
can
you-
end it on time.
You will be on next. Ricardo.
Yeah.
How are
Hello.
you?
Hi all. I'm
What
good,
would
and
you-
you?
Good. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I talked many times about McLaren
Yeah.
and Taylor. I was the one who agrees with you, Jack. Taylor should go to Nissan, but of course Tobias, the goat he is and the information he has,
Yep.
my opinion doesn't count.
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
It doesn't.
I'm
No,
kidding.
your opinion does count, and just because there's a little bit of knowledge that Nissan are interested in Mitch, maybe that deal doesn't happen. So maybe there's still an option. Things change.
Yeah, I'm kidding. It's just I'm just showing my appreciation for Tobias. I didn't know he was the OG reporter for Formula
Oh
E.
yeah, he is.
But anyway,
He is.
yeah, well, nice for him.
Yeah.
Lovely Tobias. Yeah, but yeah, I think the logical way would be to Taylor to go to Nissan, and if he doesn't go to Nissan, well, he stays where he is. And I was thinking about it because yeah, McLaren is leaving, but I didn't know Ian James had a stake at the team itself.
Yep.
So I thought, yeah, why not Ian James to Jaguar? Because James Barkley is leaving. And Jaguar, although they are not as strong as they were in the previous 2 seasons, they have a good structure. They have two
Yep.
good drivers. They have a very good team, and yeah, Ian James, how he put up the Mercedes project was amazing,
Yep.
and and the McLaren project is coming to an end, but it is good as well. But yeah, if the rumors are true and Ian James is well, it's not rumors. He has a small stake at the team, and he will do everything to stay at his team. What is a to be determined Ian James team.
Yep.
Um, yeah, it could make sense if he was only 18 principal to go to Jaguar, but yeah, and
I think he's kind of those like he's one of those people, Ian James, who would be able to handle, you know, a Nick Cassidy and a Mitch Evans. I think he's kind of a, he's got a nice front, but he's also got, you feel like he's got that strict underbelly.
yeah, you had what he managed Van Dorn and De Vries when they were at their best in Formula E. Yeah, Nick. Yeah, we can say he was only season 7 or even season 8. But yeah, they were two very good drivers. They had some. I think there was one time they had a battle. I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, Ian James proved himself with Van Dorn and De Vries.
Yep.
So why not Mitch and Nick Cassidy? Just two of the best Formula E drivers at the moment.
No.
The car is just not proving itself. So
Who do you think?
yeah.
Let's say Sam leaves, right? I don't know what your opinions are on Sam Bird in terms of him leaving. Who do you think you'd like to see? Let's say Taylor does stay. Let's go with Tobias's information and say Taylor's got a contract for next season. Who would you like to see partner him?
Well, if rumors of now Nick are true, and let's say Porsche just boot out Da Costa for no reason. At the moment, it is for no reason because he's doing good. But if it was last season, yeah, justifiable. But I don't think Da Costa would go to partner Taylor Barnett at the James team because I think at the moment Da Costa is looking for a big seat. So if he doesn't find in Formula E, surely he finds it in WEC again
Yeah.
in LMP2 or the Genesis project maybe in
Yeah.
WEC or. But I think it could be maybe an outsider. I don't know because on the Formula 2 and Formula 3 grids,
Yep.
there is no one that is appealing. Oh, that driver maybe is going to Formula E.
Yep.
Maybe, well, I'm just thinking, and what about Team Traminitz that was there were some rumors before Zane Maloney and Lucas Di Grassi got confirmed that he was going to the Lola Yamaha. So maybe, and Tim is not a bad driver. He finished ninth in Formula 3 last year,
Yeah.
and this season is there or thereabout. Maybe let's see what the project of the team that takes over of the brand that takes over the team. Let's just say because it could be a Team Tramitz,
Yep.
but maybe they wouldn't. Maybe let's just say Taylor 100% stays, and maybe they could ask Taylor to be their team leader, and then they could bring Team Traminitz, although it couldn't make sense
Yeah,
Because you have Taylor, you have a hot shot, a very good driver, but you need experience as well.
of course.
So,
Do you
but
think do you think
yeah, go
Formula
on.
E teams, in terms of drivers, I don't know who Cadillac. I forgot all about Cadillac and their Formula One team, right? And there's people like Drugovich, right, and Theo Porchetta, which are being touted. And obviously Felipe Drugovich is going to be racing in Berlin for Mahindra.
Not confirmed.
Not confirmed, but it's
Rumored.
but more than likely he's tested the car, right?
Allegedly, yeah.
Well, there's pictures, so.
Oh, is that okay?
Okay.
I thought that was just a rumor that had been spun around.
So, do you think, in terms of, these drivers that are being, they might try and go for that Cadillac seat, because a new team coming in, drivers like Drugovich and Theo Porcher would much rather try and get into that Cadillac seat than finding a seat in Formula E.
They don't have much chance.
Yeah, maybe because Drogovic is still the the reserve driver for Aston, and Porcher is now focused on ELMS. Maybe if he has a good season in ELMS, he forgets about open wheels, because Formula One is gone for Theo Porcher at this moment, and Drogovic is waiting in the wings, what feels like forever.
Yeah.
Neither of them will be in Formula One. No, neither of them are getting to Formula One.
Yeah, at this stage, none of them is getting to Formula One.
No.
Yeah.
Cadillac next year will probably the big rumor is Valtteri Bottas is going to be there, and alongside him will probably be someone like Jack Crawford or something like that, but an American or something like that.
Well, I heard it would be Frederick Vesti because he's with Cadillac in IMSA.
Yeah, no, that's a shout as well. Could be Fred Vesti. That'd be interesting.
It's just
maybe
it's just an F1 seat up for grabs, isn't it? And therefore these drivers might want to smell that out before they smell a Formula E seat out.
Yeah,
from what we've heard, Porcher is begging for Formula E seats, and I think that's the same with Drugovich as well. Because I mean, I'm sure Drugovich is getting a nice little paycheck standing at the back of the Aston Martin garage for 24 races a year, but I think he wants to get back behind a wheel, and he won't be getting behind a wheel of the Aston Martin anytime soon.
Yeah.
Like unless Fernando dies of old age or Lance
something like that happens. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, it's more likely for Alonso because he is getting on a bit.
Yeah. Right, Ricardo, we'll leave it there. Because we're running out of time for the show itself, and we're just going to do a Monaco preview. But thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys. Cheers, as always.
We'll see you hopefully in Monaco.
Yeah, surely, guys. Thank you.
Right, let's talk Monaco, and then we'll talk about it in the show. Yeah. What do you expect to happen in Monaco? Because Peloton style race, I'm expecting, but it'd be interesting to see what the race is like with pit boost. To be honest with you, I think that's an interesting element which we'll see on the Saturday.
Yeah.
And we saw Gunther do great tactics. So
Saturday
Saturday is the pit boost, and then the normal race.
Saturday is pit boost day. That's for all fans of 70s children's television. I'm
going for Da Costa on race 2.
I'll eventually watch race 1, I guess.
Because you're at Swansea City.
I'm at Swansea. I'm at Swansea. So yeah.
As long as you've watched it by Tuesday, reminder. Tuesday.
Yeah. Febar is on Tuesday.
Because I'm still in Monaco on Monday.
Which is a much better day to have the FE bars because it means it doesn't clash with any of my commitments.
Well, the same with me. I have to give up football too on a Monday.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to for the FE bar.
Hang on, that's the well, there we go. Let's just move it constantly to a Tuesday.
It's too far away from the races. It's got to be closer to the races.
Is it though?
It is.
Is it?
Look. It's not every week we do an FE bar. Well, then maybe it should be every week. Who knows?
Well, I mean, it is in terms of doing it.
Oh, we lost you there.
Yeah.
We lost you there, but never mind.
Oh, I'm just saying that we are doing it weekly at the moment because we did it last. Because well, okay, no, it was 2 weeks ago for Miami, but we are doing it next week for Monaco. So
Good.
yeah.
Well, we gotta keep working. It's the only way to be successful. But anyway, Monaco pit boost I think will be interesting. I'm gonna go with Porsche, right? I think the Costa's gonna win on Sunday.
That is a fairly safe bet.
Yeah, but I'm going all in on the Costa. I think the Costa will win one race. The pit boost race is harder to judge. I think the Costa. It depends on qualifying. Qualifying is actually really important because it's not a peloton style race where you can overtake. It's a peloton style race where, qualifying is important. Is the Costa the best qualifying driver out there? Arguably, maybe not. But if he can get it hooked up, we've seen he can manage that race amazingly. It'll be amazing to see what Pit Boost can do. Maybe Pit Boost might be a more Oliver Rowland type race, I think. But I think it's interesting. Which way do you think it's going to go?
Honestly, no idea. It's Formula E.
Great
you can't
punditry.
predict Formula. That's the thing. Like that's the thing. It's Formula E, so you just don't know. Yeah. So it could be Nissan, could be Porsche, maybe Jaguar have found something, maybe DS are in there as well. Maybe we might see something from Cooper Giro. Maybe Mahindra will be up there. Actually, do you know what?
I think you're going a bit far fetched now.
Let's go with it. Mahindra. I'm gonna go for an Edo Mortara podium.
Oh, not win, just podium. That's achievable.
Yeah.
That's achievable. And they've been quite good in the peloton style races anyway. If you go back to last season, Nick de Vries was up there and coupled of them. Mortara.
Well, Nick was on fire in Miami.
Yeah. Until the problem.
He went out towards the end of the race, didn't he?
Yeah, he had the battery management error system. But there we go. That's another Febar.
Oh,
in the
an
books.
extra one.
An extra one.
You didn't expect this.
Well,
I didn't expect this until Friday.
When there's a major talking point, we'll do an Febar for sure. Hopefully, we'll have another special guest after Monaco. We're getting very, very close to confirming another special guest. So, hopefully, things move in a positive direction now. We can have another special guest join the show. And we'll obviously keep working on getting more special guests. But we will be back on Tuesday at 8 p.m. So Tuesday, 8 p.m. British summertime, 9 p.m. CET. The Febar will be back discussing the whole action that's been Monaco. I'm in Monaco. Nick's in Monaco. Tobias is in Monaco. Jasmine will be joining me in Monaco. She's there on the Friday. I join Saturday, Sunday.
Have you given her the stuff to film interviews and stuff?
No, she's not doing any of that.
Is she not doing interviews? Oh, okay.
She's not doing that. But she's doing interviews, but just not video ones. But it is what it is. But there will be video interviews come Saturday, Sunday. So we will catch you next Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Please share. I don't know if we've gained any subscribers tonight, but we're getting close to 1,000, so we'd love to hit that goal. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see. Hopefully my voice will recover for Monaco, so pray for my voice, and we'll see you in Monaco. Ciao. I don't know what you're doing, Pico.
I'm killing a moth.
Lol. What a way to end. And on that bombshell, it's time to end. Good night.